Hej och välkomna till denna livepresentation som vi sänder över YouTube med Oasmia med anledning utav bolagets annonserade transaktion och emission idag och även namnbyte. Jag heter Claes Palin och jag är aktieanalytiker här på Erik Bank och jag kommer leda frågestunden. Här för att presentera bolaget har vi vd och CFO som kommer även vara tillgängliga båda två för frågestunden. Alla som följer det här och som vill ställa frågor till bolaget får gärna göra det över vår kanal på internet. Och jag vill också bara nämna att presentationen kommer hållas på engelska, men det går bra att ställa frågor på svenska, så ska jag försöka översätta dem på bästa möjliga sätt. Då vill jag lämna över ord och bild till Francois Martelet som ska presentera Oasmia och dagens annonserade nyheter. Francois, very welcome and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Claes, and good afternoon to everyone. So I'm very pleased to be here, as usual, at Erik Bank to present the latest with regard to Oasmia, which is today the right issue. As most of you know, I mean, we are a specialty pharma company focused on oncology. We have the luxury to have one product approved called Apealea, paclitaxel micellar, that is indicated for late-stage ovarian cancer patients. And we will be enjoying the launch of Apealea this year in UK and in Germany first through our partner Eleva/Inceptua. And obviously we will be expecting royalties and milestones this year, which is certainly an important milestone for Oasmia. We do have also an emerging oncology portfolio consisting of two programs, Cantrixil and docetaxel micellar, and I will speak about that a bit later on. The overarching strategy is to become a Nordic oncology powerhouse. And how do we achieve that? We achieve that through the implementation of a string of pearls strategy. That means adding compounds to our portfolio through either a global licensing in and or M&A, basically. And then the first pearl of this string of pearls that we obviously would like to expand is Cantrixil, that has been licensing in March of 2021, and for which we are working on the preparation of the phase 2. Right. So as most of you know, we are a listed company in Stockholm with a market cap of around 1 million SEK, with Arvitro as our major shareholder, very supportive of our right issue. I will come back to that as well, and Fredrik will comment on that later on. Right, so creating a Nordic oncology powerhouse focused on hard to treat and late-stage cancer is certainly our, let's say, 5 to 10 years goal on the horizon. How do we do this? Because obviously, you know, a vision without a concrete plan is just a dream, and this is not what we want to do. We want to build a diversified pipeline on how to treat and late-stage cancer using different mechanisms of actions. And why different mechanisms of actions? Because obviously the attrition rate in our industry is, as you know, extremely high. So if you are licensing in or acquire an antibody, a small molecule, an oncology virus, a CAR-T, then obviously through the development programs, you significantly decrease the risk of failure. And diversified, because if you want to build a sustainable business in oncology, you need to have a number of compounds, not only one or two. We don't want to be a one-trick pony, as some of the companies in the sector are. Right. Having said that, we have two lines of businesses. On one side, we have our oncology R&D. So this is consisting of Cantrixil, docetaxel micellar, and other compounds to come. So this is really the development part of our business. And we have the commercial line. The commercial line is, you know, mainly coming out of Apealea revenues through milestones and royalty with our partners. And also, we are building, you know, and upgrading our technology platform XR17, moving to XR18, in order to look for ways to potentially use its platform with other compounds. So that's the two lines of the businesses. And I mentioned here Pharmamondo, which is our partner for the commercialization of Apilia in Russia, for which we have signed off an agreement late last year. So we've been going through a transformation journey at Oasmia since I joined the company. Clearly, we have strengthened the management team, we have strengthened the board, we've built capabilities, to be more perceived as a more attractive partner. We've been accelerating business development. We've been performing a number of due diligences throughout the past 18 months, looking at companies, product, compounds to add to our portfolio. We've been reducing business risk, and this is an important factor, that we have inherited a number of legal issues when we joined the company, and this has been sorted out. So there is a totally clean plate now at Oasmia, explaining the reason why we are embarking on changing the name of the company. And I will come back to that. And finally, Apilia launches in Europe with Inceptra, and put down the road in Russia with Pharmamondo. And we certainly expect also Elevar to find other partners in other parts of the world, such as China. Right, so into more details now. I mean, if you look at the progress made over the last year, clearly, Cantrixil licensing in March, Karolinska Institute research agreement, that was also another milestone for our platform. We have the confirmatory Cantrixil data published in a major scientific publication called Cancers. So therefore, we were very pleased with that, to have obviously the confirmation that we picked the right target. Docetaxel micellar phase 1b initiated with a famous SAC research group in Switzerland. We have now 3 centers open. The studies consist of 18 patients to enroll, and we are on, well, SAC is actually relatively on track in order to enroll all the patients by the end of this year. And also, additional agreement for Apilia. This is from Pharmamondo, as I said a little bit earlier. And finally, the settlement of the legal issues. That was certainly something that we were looking forward to address. So having said that, this is really the base upon which we can now build further Oasmia. A quick look at our capabilities. You see, people, and we are not a virtual company, and I want to insist on that, because certainly, this has some implication on our burn rate. But however, if you don't have the level of internal capabilities, it's extremely hard, and it's more difficult to develop your program further. You can always, outsource, but at the end of the day, it's important to have in-house capabilities in order to, again, to make the best possible choices with regard to clinical development of your programs. We have our CSO based in the US, for instance, with our ears and eyes in the US. And we have with Kai Wilkinson in Uppsala, our lab, in a very, with a good hands in terms of research capabilities for our technology platform. Right, so this is a snapshot of our portfolio. We have Apilia, as I said, the commercial launch this year. In the US, this is handled by Elevar. For competitive reasons, they do not want to disclose the setting, let's say the clinical design. And at one point in time, that will be done, obviously, and I will be able to give you more information about that. But be sure that this is super high on the radar screen. Cantrixil intraperitoneal ovarian cancer, we are working on the preparation of the phase 2. Docetaxel micellar in prostate cancer, and Cantrixil IV. So that's an interesting thing, because we will be using our technology platform in order to perform preclinical studies that will potentially lead to a new formulation of Cantrixil. So a few words about, many of you know that, about our technology platform, solubilization enhancing. So the advantages of this solubilization process are mainly twofold. You don't need to give any premedication, no corticoids. As we all know, corticoids, do depress the immune system of cancer patients. So you want to avoid that. And two, you don't have any solvent with paclitaxel micellar, for instance. And the chemophore is the one that is usually producing a number of side effects when patients get paclitaxel. So this is a better formulation. This is really for patients that are not able to tolerate paclitaxel. I don't want to go into some details about the competitive situation. We are quite similar with Abraxane, but Abraxane is not approved in ovarian cancer, only in breast. And clearly, we have the level of ability using paclitaxel micellar to reduce the overall chair time. So physicians can treat more patients within one single day on an outpatient basis because of our formulation. A few words as well about the indication. We are approved in relapse ovarian cancer for Apealea. In Russia, it's approved in first line. And obviously, with Cantrixil moving into phase 2 down the road, we are certainly planning to have a design that is closer to second line or potentially first and probably second line in order to capture more patients. Right, Apealea commercialization plan. So here on this map, you see exactly the picture. So you have Inceptua responsible for the launch in Europe, in Russia, Pharmamondo, Middle East, North Africa, Taiba, and in the US, under development, that will be Elevar. Important to know that if you look at the potential peak sales of this product, you have a little bit, let's say, $300 million US dollars at peak sales, including the US. So you can easily have some estimation for the potential of this product in Europe, although we don't give any indication, and these numbers are actually coming from a number of analyst reports. A few words about Inceptua, because it's a private company, very well established in Europe, about 100 employees, turnover 150 million euros around, and they will be planning to, they are in a process to hire key account manager, medical scientific liaison, MSLs, in order to launch in the UK and in Germany, followed by other countries as well in Europe. And why is it that case? Well, it is a sequential launch, mainly for pricing and reimbursement reasons. We obviously would like to have a decent price in the most important market in Europe, first and foremost. Right, so this is exactly what is mentioned in here, and we are planning to get the first royalties and milestones to Oasmia during the second part of this year. So a few words about docetaxel micellar, which is the same concept applied to docetaxel. The phase 1b is well underway in Switzerland, and we expect the enrollment process to be ended this year. By SAC, if everything goes well. We will be looking at what do we do, next, and that will be part of our use of funds as well, depending on the outcome of the trial. And we are thinking about evaluating our XR18 platform technology with docetaxel. This is part of our 22 objective. Right, string of pearls. So we will be focusing mainly from preclinical onto phase 2. We don't exclude to go and to perform a phase 3 trial, but in some limited indications with a limited number of patients, because clearly we don't have the muscles nor the super capabilities, you know, to go onto a phase 3 that is usually quite costly. But we don't exclude that. So our sweet spot is actually from phase 1 into phase 2. So that's the kind of, which corresponds, by the way, to many oncology companies in not only in Sweden, but also in Europe. And then, you know, once we have good positive phase 2 data, this is where we believe that we have created value for our shareholder. And then at one point in time, we can divest, partner, let's say, realize the value of such data. So this is exactly what we are planning to do at Oasmia. Cantrixil is an interesting compound. This is a small molecule, and the interesting thing is that not only because the phase 1b were confirmed and published later on, but because we have an orphan drug designation status from the FDA, that means that potentially we could have a fast-track approval down the road. And this is extremely important for us when we design the clinical trial of Cantrixil. We have a strong patent protection that always, of course, is useful. And, well, the next steps, a few words, about the phase 1 data, because this is important that really this study did meet the endpoints, meaning objective response rate, disease control rate, objective response rate 19%, disease control rate 56%. These patients are extremely sick, you know. They have had a number of lines of treatment, and we are coming with an intraperitoneal administration at a fairly late stage. So again, the goal will be to design a clinical trial for the phase 2 that addressed more earlier line of treatment. The other interesting thing for Cantrixil is that, well, you have certainly some sensitivity from the stem cells to other indication, you know, namely, you know, mesothelioma, bladder, and this is important because, I mean, you know, providing that we have enough financing down the road, we could certainly view Cantrixil as a pipeline within a molecule. That means that we can develop some other indications as well. It's not only a one quick fix. Okay, next step for Cantrixil. We had a global advisory board late last year. We are planning to do others as well. We need to get some sort of validation from a clinical trial perspective by the authorities, FDA, EMEA, MPA as well, in order to continue. And I don't want to rush into that. It is extremely important that we have some kind of blessing by the authorities. And that takes some time given the COVID situation, you know. And then the other major piece is that the manufacturing of Cantrixil is not that relatively easy. It does imply a number of different manufacturers. You have the purification step at the very end, which is quite unique. And we are trying, as we speak, to secure very strongly the supply chain. Without a proper supply chain, you know, you don't have any business, you know. And without a proper clinical trial, the same. Okay, so this will happen during the whole of 2022. Right, expanding our platform technology, we have a project ongoing with Karolinska Institute in order to investigate further the platform with cellular systems in vitro. We hope to be able to release some news pretty soon on that one. And also there will be other steps complementing, going further in order to not only better understand the platform technology, but how can we upgrade it. And that's, of course, very important, in particular for Cantrixil IV formulation. Right, so at this point in time, I would like to give the floor to our CFO, Fredrik, that will give us some insight about the right issue.
And our finances. So thank you. I'm happy to be here this important day. So if we turn to our finances, we just wanted to highlight some key numbers, especially regarding our reduced cost and burn rate. So these numbers refer to the Q3 report, where we concluded that operating costs for the quarter Q3 was 26 million, which was a reduction since Q2. And that also meant that the annualized cost savings is more than 100 million SEK since 2020. And you can see on the right-hand side that positive trend. Now regarding operating cash flow in the quarter, that was 27 million SEK. That is a cash burn of 9 million SEK per month, which also was below our target estimate of 10 to 12 million SEK per month. So that led to a cash position at the end of the quarter, 30th of September, of approximately 150 million SEK. Now that highlights obviously the need for additional financing, which is obviously one of the reasons for the announcement this morning on the rights issue. Now, the rights issue, the background and rationale for the rights issue is basically that, after the completion of the turnaround, we now have to strengthen our financial position in order to achieve all the objectives that we have set up. And the proceeds from the rights issue, we have a gross proceeds of 150 million SEK. 151 million SEK. So that's not including issue costs. But those proceeds will be used to finance ongoing business activities, as well as our clinical stage assets, Cantrixil and docetaxel micellar, as Francois was talking about, and also financing the technology platform. And then on the rights issue process, you can find that in the press release from this morning. But just briefly, so there's a term of 1 new share for every 5 existing shares to subscribe for at the price of 1.68 SEK. That will give us net proceeds of approximately 151 million SEK. And this is secured to 100% through subscription commitments from the main shareholder, Arvidsro, as well as guarantee undertakings for the remaining part, 75% of the rights issue. And on the timelines, we will have an EGM on the 21st of February, deciding on the provision for the rights issue. And then we will have the prospectus that will be public on the 3rd of March, and the subscription period will run from 8th of March to the 22nd of March, and to disclose the outcome of the rights issue on the 25th of March. So with that, Francois.
Thank you, Fredrik. So let's move now to our new identity, new brand name. Perhaps a few words about the reasons. I mean, clearly, we have accomplished not only a turnaround, but a transformation process of the company. And as I said, new management team, new board, change of the strategy, and finally the settlement of our inherited legal issues. All of this is one phase of Oasmia that is now behind us. And if we want to move ahead and to become a Nordic oncology powerhouse, we believe that Vivesto would be the right brand name to choose. Why Vivesto? So Viv in Spanish means life. Esto means this, so this life. And what a better word for an oncology company that is committed to improve the lives of patients than Vivesto. So that's the rationale. You could see an abstract human form with a crescent moon to express innovation, but above all, life. So, and this will be pending an approval at the next EGM on the 21st of February. And then moving forward, we will be Vivesto. Right, so in terms of catalyst and potential short-term and medium-term value drivers, so we have Apilia launches in Europe, clearly, further partnering by Elevar, notably in China. Initial revenues and royalties of the Apilia launch in Europe, that's first part. 2, the docetaxel micellar, completion of the phase 1b, Cantrixil, full preparation, full state of readiness of, for the phase 2. The technology platform, we continue to work with it, we continue to upgrade with Karolinska, with our research team in Uppsala. And above all, you know, we clearly need to make the string of pearls a reality. And although we have initiated that with Cantrixil, of course, you will tell me that the necklace will be a bit short. So we obviously, and this will be in 2022. Right, so this is what I wanted to tell you. It's, we believe it's a great opportunity to create a powerhouse. I don't see that happening in the Nordic, at least not to my knowledge. We have the level of internal capabilities in place in order to do so, to build a diversified pipeline. The string of pearls strategy, multiple shots on goals. So we are not only looking at small molecules, for instance, we are looking at a wide range of mechanism of actions. We have a platform for innovative partners and high potential assets. So we become more attractive by itself, you know, since we have moved to this next step. And finally, you know, we believe that there will be a time to attract institutional investors also from Europe. Thank you for your attention, and I'm ready to take the questions from class.
Great. You will have my questions first, and then we will have the questions from the audience that are online. But we probably have some questions that's more or less the same. But I would like to start off with the transaction, and you maybe just can describe the timing. Why is the right time to do the transaction right now?
You know, clearly, although it is not, the biotech market is rather weak at the present time, you know, we absolutely needed to strengthen our balance sheet, you know, obviously. And there is not a better time than doing it now, basically. Okay.
Perfect. And the classical question, the money that you will get from this transaction, how far does it get you in when it comes to your portfolio?
Right. So we estimate, you know, like in every single biotech company, the money will last for 18 to 24 months. So that will allow us to complete the docetaxel micellar study, the phase 1b, look for the next trial potentially. It will allow us to initiate the Cantrixil study, potentially look for interim results, depending on the kind of a design, in 24 months. Continue to work with the upgrading of the XR17/18.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great.
And of course, you know, look for business development activities as well.
Okay. And Fredrik, you mentioned that the burn rate was down to 9 million per month, and you previously communicated that the goal was 12 million. Should we expect this level to continue into 2022, and when excluding, I mean, cost for manufacturing or something like that, to preparations for clinical trials?
No, I think we have, as we said, we have completed a turnaround, and that includes definitely the reduction of costs, and the annualized cost saving on 100 million SEK is basically reaching the target of what we set up. So, you know, not promising anything, but I would say the 10 to 12 million SEK is definitely something that we can stand by, and possibly even further below that. But
great. And just also wonder a little bit about management, if you will participate in this rights issue.
Yes, so this is certainly something that we will do. Yes.
Great, great. And I mean, you have talked a lot about Cantrixil, that's your assets, but Apealea in the US is in the hands of Elevar. I understand that they are in control of the information that they will share to the market. But could you say anything what is happening and how their plans look like?
Clearly, you know, they want to maximize the kind of a strategy from a clinical standpoint in order to get to an approval ASAP. For competitive reasons, they do not want to disclose that at the present time, but you know, obviously it will be done at one point.
Okay, great. I turn to some of the questions. So I have other questions about from the audience then about just how things are progressing with the FDA, sort of an FDA pathway forward. But I guess you can't say anything
I cannot
more.
comment on that. I'm sorry.
They need to do further clinical trials to
yes,
get, and
absolutely.
that should be clarified, of course. And also have a question if you know about any plans for Latin America, for example, if Elevar is out there looking for finding partners in other parts of the world, and you already have find commercial partners.
Other part of the world, yes, and I know that China is on their radar screen.
Okay, so that's closer than Latin America.
I cannot say that.
Okay, great. And we have a question about the animal health business, and it's a bit out for grabs for a while. Could you say anything if you are about to reach a sort of a strategy going forward for that part of the business?
Yeah, we certainly have a strategy in place, absolutely.
Yeah. But I mean, are you still looking for try to out-licensing the assets, or if you will try to find other solutions?
Yeah, we are not an oncology company wanted to remain in animal health. That's for sure. This is a totally different kind of business compared to the human health business, as you know. And we have a strategy that we are executing regarding the animal health business. And we will inform the market, you know, when the materialization of this will happen.
Great. And I have a couple of questions about this transaction as well. And is there any institutional investors that will participate? And if you could say anything about the underwriters of the rights issue more than your main shareholder.
Yes, so I mean, this is preferential rights issue, so it's directed to the current shareholders, and the main shareholder, Arvidsru, has committed subscription to subscribe in this rights issue. So otherwise than that, yes, we have a guarantee consortium of a few well-known guarantors that we will include in the prospectus, who they are. But that we were very happy with the outcome of that exercise. I mean, having a 100% secured rights issue.
Okay, perfect. Then I have a question about your XR17 platform and how you are, I mean, going forward and trying to find perhaps out-licensing assets or use your technology on others' assets.
Yeah, the main thing with XR17, which is the kind of current platform, is IP, okay? So obviously, we need to continue working with a platform that will allow us to generate a proper IP. And that's what we are doing with XR18 for internal research purposes mainly.
Great. Yeah, we have questions about the named patient program. If you have any information to share.
This is handled by Eleva as well, and I cannot comment on that. As you know, Eleva is a privately held company, and they do not want to disclose anything that relates to this kind of program, which is ex-US and ex-Europe, which is a limited program, basically.
Okay. You have a partner in the parts of the Middle East, at least. And do you have any other thing to update about the process?
Not really.
Should they expect any kind of income from that part of your business or
that partner is also a partner of Eleva, so then it's the same answer. And I will inform the market when I know what's going on from Eleva, basically. But I don't have any update at this point in time on this.
Okay. We also have a question about what kind of opportunities you see to finance the company in the long term, looking 3-4 years ahead. Do you see that you will need to do more rights issue, or do you see other opportunities to get financing?
You want to take this one?
Well, I mean, obviously can't comment on concrete actions, but I mean, being a biotech company, we're always looking at long-term financing alternatives. I mean, that's a boring answer, but yeah.
Yes. Have you? I mean, you have now Cantrixil, you have docetaxel micellar in your own hands. Have you started to do some business development for it, or is it way too early to start doing that kind of actions?
It's never too early. It takes so much time anyway, to conclude anything. So yes, we have been performing a number of due diligences, both for companies, private, public, and all compounds, product, let's say. And, again, the String of Pearl strategy will be a reality, or should be a reality, in 2022.
And this String of Pearl strategy, could you comment perhaps? I mean, you have done the transaction with Cantrixil. I mean, you mentioned some opportunities during the presentation, but if it's possible to give us further details, how the climate out there and makes it possible to do further transactions, and how attractive is it from your side in the private market compared to the public market?
Yes, so I would say we have internally, a kind of a luxury to have a few very good people that were able to pick, this kind of opportunities that were not really obvious to anyone, like a unpolished diamond, like Cantrixil is. And we have obviously identified even more than that, other opportunities as well. We are looking at science. For us, science is very important. So we know that if you do that, if you licensing in from 1B onwards, you reduce significantly your risk of failure during the development program, as you know very well in phase 2 and phase 3. And this is our sweet spot. So we preferably looking at compounds that have reached the phase 1B, showing some positive data. And this is what we are doing. If you look only at preclinical stage, of course the risk is much higher. You never know what could happen. And then, of course, if you are a Novartis, like I used to work for before, you can permit yourself to have a broad pipeline. But if you are a small company, you're obsessed with de-risking it. You're obsessed with trying to make the best out of what you have, and therefore trying to make the right choices. And it is so important to do so. But I have to say, I'm very proud to have a significant, a few team members that are extremely clever and persistent, and that can pick, opportunities around the world, not only in Sweden, but also elsewhere, like Cantrixil. And this is one of the things that make us more attractive as a company.
And the organization, are you satisfied with the setup for now, or do you see?
Yes, we have reached a decent level of capabilities in house. We don't plan to expand that much. I think it's always important to have all the functions like we have of. Like a pharmaceutical company, we are a pharma company of a small size, but still we have all the functions internally. And this is important. We are not a virtual company, you know. So obviously this has some consequences on the OPEX side, but as Fredrik said, we've been able to reduce that significantly. So it's a good balance, you know. And when you are a team, you know, you're much stronger together, you know, and more able to do things rather than you know, outsourcing everything, you know. So that's. But yeah, so far we have a good level of internal capabilities. Yes.
And it's going back to your string of pearls strategy. How important is it to have a strong balance sheet to be able to execute transactions?
Well, of course, it is very important, and this right issue will not be enough, obviously, you know. And by the way, this is not geared towards any acquisition. It is, for, as Fredrik said, for current operations. It is, of course, important. You know, I will never embark on a phase 2, you know, or a phase 3 without having some strong backing, you know, from a financial side. Of course not. You know, we have to be ethical to respect the patients as well, you know, and the clinical trials. Yes, yes,
of course. And also going back to the legal issue that was solved in the second half last year, has that also been something that has stopped you from reaching an agreement with the prospects out there, or is this more of a financial burden?
Well, I mean, this was certainly a burden, and not only from a financial perspective, but also from a reputation perspective, credibility, affecting the company as such. And I'm very glad that this has been finalized, explaining also the timing of this right issue, you know, basically, because we needed to sort this out before we could move ahead. That was fairly obvious. Now we are totally clean plate. So.
Yeah. So you now have a new name, financing, and you know more legal issue.
Correct.
And you could move on as an oncology company.
Yes.
Great. We have questions about Inceptua that is about to launch Apealea in Europe. Have you heard anything about possible pricing of Apealea?
Well, that I'm not also allowed to comment. You know, I'm also controlled by Eleva on this. So, but the fact that they are launching first in Germany and in the UK means that they are looking for a relatively high price first in order to secure pricing and reimbursement in the other countries to come in Europe later on. So, but I cannot comment on any specifics. Sorry.
But should we still expect that a launch in Europe will be during Q1, or is it H1?
Right. It will be H1, absolutely.
Perfect. Great. I don't have any more questions, and I am looking at the questions from the audience. We don't seem to have any others, at least not what I could see, that we don't have addressed. No, I think that's all. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Glas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.